This is J. Krishnamurti's 8th discussion with teachers and students at Brockwood Park, 1974.
What shall we talk about? Or shall we carry on with what we were talking about the other day when Dr. Bohm was here? No suggestions, no reply.
Could we also talk about spontaneity and self-consciousness, or duality and opposites in general?
You want to talk about that? Conflict between people, man, woman, between races, between nationalities, the Jew and the Arab, the Hindu, the Muslim, the communist and the non-communist, and the everlasting conflict between man and man, brown, black, white and yellow. Is that what you want? Shall we talk about that? Why do you want to talk about it? Just as an idea to be entertained? Or shall we talk about it to see if this conflict can come to an end, not only outside of us, but also inside of us? Do you want to talk about it? You know, this conflict has existed from the very beginning of time. And there have been many systems to resolve this conflict. The communist, the socialist, the capitalist, the Mao, the various systems that man has invented to overcome this overwhelming sorrow of conflict between man and man. Right? We know this. If you ever studied history or looked at a magazine or a newspaper, headlines, the destruction, the violence, the brutality, the chaos that's going on in the world, economically, socially, every direction. And when there are systems, there is specialization in that system. And these specializations have not solved the problem. On the contrary, they have increased them. Because when you specialize, you cut yourself off from the whole perception of the whole world. Right? And so, we have this problem. This enormous problem of conflict between man and man. Competition. You saw the Football World Cup, have you? Battling each other. Competition at its highest form, organized. Carry on that competition economically, socially, and also religiously. The result is every man is against another man. In a polite form, or in a brutal form, or in a very sophisticated form, and so on. And no system, whatever system that be, has solved this problem. And man seems to accept this problem. He says it is inevitable. Man must struggle, must be aggressive, must fight. Because you see animals and so on and so on. Out of this struggle comes various kinds of neurotic actions, sometimes beneficial, sometimes happy, joyous, other times mischievous, destructive, degenerating. You are aware of all this, aren't you? Are you? Yes, good. Have you ever thought why it exists? What is the reason? Logical reason, not fanciful reason or ideological reason, but logical reason. We are using the word logical in the sense reasoned, carefully observed, not from any particular prejudice or conclusion. Have you ever asked why it exists? Why man, who is so capable, technologically marvelous things he has done, why he has not solved this problem? He has solved every other kind of technological problem. Extraordinary machines. The ingenious inventions of war. He has done most astonishing things. And yet he seems utterly incapable of solving this problem. How to put an end to the conflict between man and man. And religions, organized religions, Catholicism, Protestantism, Hinduism, and Buddhism, Islam, and so on, they have tried vaguely with threats of hell and heaven to stop this. Vaguely, not very deeply, perhaps except Buddhism. They said, don't kill like the Hindus. And there was a very, very famous emperor, I think it was in the 250 BC, if I remember. I'm not a historian, but about like that, 250 BC, he was conquering whole of India. And suddenly, one day he became a Buddhist and stopped the whole thing. He said, I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm not going to kill anymore. He issued edicts. And when you consider all this, what is the reason of all? Why man has not been able to put an end to the strife, to the wars, to the brutality, to the violence, to the enormous suffering that all this brings about? What do you think? Come on, so you're going to... It's a dialogue. It's not a talk by the speaker. So it's a dialogue between us. You know what a dialogue is? A discussion, an exchange, investigation, exploration into the cause of this extraordinary lack of humanity, lack of affection, care, consideration, all that is involved. Why? Go on, sir. Discuss. Let's talk it over.
Well, certainly, in order to have a fight or be aggressive toward another person, you must feel separate from them.
Yes, sir, that of course. That like nations are separate, races are separate, color prejudice is separate. You follow? This whole modern civilization, modern existence, which had existed before, but is now becoming more and more intense. The terrorists, all that's what's happening. What do you think is the reason of all this? There are 1,000 explanations. They have watched animals, and from that draw a conclusion. And they have said aggressiveness is necessary, and so on, so on, so on, so on. Apart from all the expert, specialized explanations and conclusions, what do you think? If you had to stop this violence, not only in yourself, not theoretically, but actually, in everyday relationship, sexually, morally, economically, and all that. How would you set up? What don't you want to find out the depth of all this?
Well, it seems that one has to see the basis of one's actions.
Yes, sir, that's what I'm asking. What is the basis of all this? What is the raison d'être, the root of this?
It's thought.
Don't reduce it to thought. We've discussed that. I want to go a little deeper into it. If I may, we've discussed it enough. Look at it a little more expansively, a little more how shall we say, without using a word and then come to a conclusion and then explain it. But just look at it, observe it. Why has man, throughout the ages, has not been able to stop this? He has done everything else, you understand? Stop diseases, invented most extraordinary machinery to kill, all that. This is part of our education, you understand? It isn't just learning some rules and historical dates and mathematics and learning a new language. That's only a very small part of it. But to be educated in the real sense of that word, so that human beings are really intelligent, really civilized, so that they are capable of solving the their whole problem, not just one problem. That's the function of education. So that you, at Brockwood, when you are being educated, that's your raison, that's your reason for your being here. Not to pass merely A-level and O-level. So that when you do go out, you are different human beings. Not just fall into the trap of the old establishment or the new establishment. So, you see, look at the Western world and the Eastern world, not as two peculiar phenomena, but just look at it. The whole of the West is materialistic. I'm not condemning it, nor extolling the East. I'm just pointing out. Materialistic. The word material means matter. They say, scientists, philosophers, say that life began with matter. You understand? Cells. Life, our existence, began with matter. And when you give importance to matter and the survival of matter, then you give importance to the whole structure of thought. Because thought is matter. We went into, we've been told that. So the whole Western world says Marxism, you know something about Marxism? I'm not a professor, I'm not a specialist. I have met dozens of communists, dozens of Marxists, anti-Marxists, pro-Mao, anti-Mao. You follow every type. I've met, discussed, and talked. So I don't read any of these books, but I meet people. Marxism is based on materialism and the translation historically of that materialistic attitude. That life begins with matter, and therefore life can be controlled, and the whole dictatorship. You following all this? That few can direct, control the people. All that's what's happening. And the religious spirit too has said that. Religious mind has said, though they talked about the spirit. You're following? It mattered enormously. Their whole attitude is based on thought, which is material. On that, they have constructed the whole religious structure. Their churches, their Jesus, their Savior, everything is based on that. I'm not exaggerating, I'm putting it very quickly. And you go to the East. They said Life begins, life brings matter. Life is the source, not matter. Are you understanding all this? Huh? This is Dr. Bowman, we were discussing, yes, after this meet, after the last meeting we had here, we went into a little bit, and we're going to go into it much more. So there, they said, life, and they translated as God, as Atman and various other names, and as they have done in the West also. And on that, they said, life is one. All living thing is one. The animals, the trees, human beings, man, woman. Therefore, don't kill, be kind, be generous. Don't be cruel, don't be violent. Only in words, you understand? In theory. And there was a whole group of people who actually lived this at one time. No property, no social position, but morally, intellectually, they were the aristocrats, so-called Brahmins at one time. So you have these two. You're following all this? Does this interest you? And religion, whether they Muslim, they Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, because their structure and function and order is based on thought, and therefore really materialistic. Thought is matter, both the East and the West. And when that becomes the basis of existence, then pleasure and fear become the main principles in life. Are you following all this? Am I wrong? Am I saying something stupid, illogical? You're following all this? So if you observe, pleasure and fear are the two principles in our life, based on survival, which is surviving at any cost. Kill everything to survive. Therefore, more destroy the earth, destroy the species of animals. They have killed God knows how many animals in the world. All with Christian spirit, brotherly love, adoring the Savior or Krishna, whatever you like to call it. I don't know if you have seen or on the television. Whales are disappearing. And baby seals are killed. And everybody carries on. So is that one of the main reasons why there is such worldwide conflict between man and man, between ideas and ideas, between ideologies and another series of ideologies, between your concept of God and another man's concept of God. Concept, you understand? Just an idea. Is that the reason why? Because we have no really deep religious understanding of what life is. I'm using the word religious purposely, not in the Catholic, Protestant, Hindu, Buddhist, all that. That's not religion at all. They're just conventions, traditions, just intellectual structure, which has nothing to do with life. That's everyday living. And when we use the word religion, we are talking about the activity of a mind that's concerned with the total life, with all life. Because life is the basis of all existence, whether the trees, the animals, the birds, you and I. Therefore, out of that comes great compassion. Love, affection, whatever word you like to use. When we say, I am the world and the world is me, you cannot say that unless you have this religious understanding of life, not the structure of matter, which is also necessary. So can you, here, an educational center, consider this as an absolute necessity that you, being educated, understand this enormous significance and the responsibility involved in it. You understand, Dr. Bohm, the other day, I don't know if he showed it to you, of a key being. Did you see it? Huh? There is somebody, this is an old history in India, but but now it's become a scientific investigation. There's a man in London, I believe, who takes a key, matter, a key, he showed me, a key, puts it in the water and rubs it, and the key bends. Not, he doesn't force it, just rubs it. And I showed me the key. We probably have seen it. And also, out of that key, he took out the weight of the key, some of the 8 grams of the weight. You know what all this means? That matter is nothing. Can be, in India, they've talked a great deal about it. I've seen other phenomena in India. Most extraordinary things happen. When you can take away weight from a mineral, from a key. You know what that means? Whole scientific world collapses. They will be up against something which they cannot solve. Therefore, they're going to criticize and everything. Because they won't admit, and probably they will later on when it becomes provable, that life is the beginning of all, is the beginning. Which the ancient Hindus maintain. Then their followers made it into a theory, into a concept, and played with it and talked about it, but never lived it.
What does that actually mean? Life is the beginning.
What's it? Will you explain it, sir? You can probably explain it better than I can.
No?
Well, why not? I can explain it my own way, unscientific way, using layman's jargon, layman's word.
Well, I've talked to David Bowman about it for many hours, and I can convey to Jeff what I understand about it later, if you wish.
All right. Sir, life, what does it mean, life?
So isn't the distinction between the idea of the Western scientists that you take chemicals and substances and put them together in a certain way and you'll get life?
Yeah.
Whereas the Eastern idea...
No, they said so.
This is what they found.
Yeah, that's right. Don't say these.
No, I didn't say that. That's
careful.
what they say they found.
Wow.
Whereas the Eastern people have been saying, and way back in history, that...
And even now, lip service, verbally say it. Go on.
I missed that.
They verbally say this, but they don't feel it.
Uh-huh.
They don't live it.
Right. That life is the root of all existence.
Yes.
And matter springs from life.
Yes. Does that explain? No. Then what you're asking, what do you mean by life?
It just goes here. But...
Just a minute. What do you mean by life? What do you mean by life?
Vitality.
What do you mean by life, sir? Come on. He says, Enkin says, vitality.
But everything that exists, everything.
Everything that...
Look, Tunki. What does life mean? He says vitality. Life. Would you say life is energy?
Yes.
And don't agree. Just look. This is very, very serious thing what we're talking about. It isn't just a play of words or play of formulas or concepts.
In fact, so the words themselves can't convey what life is.
Therefore they have said God. You follow? And their God is the image of themselves. All gods are the image of themselves. The Greeks, you follow, the Christian, they've said God made man in his image. On the contrary, man has made God in his image. So, when you look at it all, is life energy which is not bringing the cells together. Which is not chemical activity. Which is not a result of various conflicting energies.
It is not limited.
Yes, limited to conflicting energies. I mean, if I had no energy, I couldn't be sitting here. Everything demands energy. Now, is that energy, please follow, mechanical? Friction, conflict of ideas produce certain kind of energy. Pleasure produces certain kind of energy. Fear produces certain kind of energy. Is life, please, I'm not laying down, we are discussing, we are investigating. Is life unimpeded, unconditioned, pure energy? I'm going back to the very, very dangerous Hindu Buddhist concept. I must be very careful because the Hindus in recent years live in theories, concepts. They have no depth except just words, and quote endlessly what the ancient people have said. And that's all nonsense, rubbish. So one has to be very aware of not be caught in the trap of the West or in the East. Not be caught in the trap of tradition. So, if you put away all that, if you can, that's one of the functions of education, to free the mind, to inquire, uncondition the mind, to investigate. Free the mind so that it can observe, not out there, but in here, without any illusion, without any distortion.
So do you think we could examine more closely what you were saying, how conflict, the fear, which is a conflict of energies, creates its energy? Because I
So
think
look. Pleasure creates its energy, doesn't it? The pursuit of pleasure.
one has something one's going to work
But
towards.
pursuit of pleasure. Look at all the world around you.
Creating pleasure, or is
Huh?
it in some way? I don't know enough about science to question whether a certain, say, chemical action produces energy, or does it bring about circumstances in which energy flows, is attracted to it, or flows through it, a sort of conduit?
It does both.
I don't know. the
No,
answer.
wait, I'm just take what is observable instead of going to chemists, professors and specialists, what is observable in oneself. What tremendous energy you have in the pursuit of pleasure. Don't you? No? Actually, but also.
Do, but does it create it? Is that a proper description?
Big one?
Does it create energy?
Wait, what?
Or just
No,
attract?
wait, see what it does. Look. I've had a pleasurable moment. Whatever that pleasure is, sexual or merely the beauty of a sunset, the beauty of a face, or the lovely tree, a moment of great delight. That delight is registered as memory. Right? And that memory says, pursue more. The pursuit gives more energy.
So one's working in a
The
group.
nightclubs, the tremendous entertainment world, the football. You follow this enormous energy to go from here to Hamburg to see some silly ball being kicked around. And fear. I'm afraid of losing my job, fear of what you might say, fear of loneliness, fear of death. And I create such, you follow? Such structure, such belief, such desire for comfort. All this is energy. I am a Jew and I loathe the Arab, or I am an Arab and I hate. You follow? So I'm trying to find out, and I think this is right. Life is energy and intelligence. The pure form of it. And meditation, if you are interested in it, is the discovery of that uncontaminated energy with its extraordinary intelligence. And they have translated that energy, that intelligence, as God. You follow? Right through history. But the person who has discovered it, you follow? Not through an idea concept and pursuing a concept and therefore coming to a conclusion which is then becomes an illusion, but the actual experience, and I won't use the word experience, the actual observation of it in meditation, in absolute quietness of the mind. I think then, I say it is then only that you come upon this intelligence and energy. Now, when you realize this, then there is no division. You follow, sir? I won't kill you because you are a Hindu or a Muslim or some. You follow? I won't fight you about anything because you are me. I wonder if you understand all this. And my responsibility then to the world is entirely different. Then I'm concerned totally with man, not with the Englishman or China, all that kind of tummy around. And look at our politics, what's happening. Each politician is concerned about his particular little group. Not with man. And therefore they're not solving any problem. And they are on contrary increasing the problems. I wonder if you get all this.
I don't quite see how one can feel that you are me or something.
I told you. Tunki, you're born in Indochina, Java. I was born in India, South India. What's the difference between us?
There's no difference, but...
What? Don't say no difference. See actual difference first. You are born of Chinese parents with their tradition, with their peculiarities, with their temperament, with their beliefs, superstitions, and all the rest of it.
There is difference from a detail.
Wait, not detail. This is a tremendous difference in temperament. And the other man is born in India with a certain Brahman and all the rest of it, with his conditioning. There is a difference. Superficially, there's a tremendous difference. Are we talking at that level? If we are, then it is purely materialistic. Because the brain, with the tissues which holds the cells and that holds memory, which is the tradition which has invented all this. If we are discussing at that level and remain at that level, you and I are entirely different. We'll fight each other. Because I won't admit my conditioning at all. That's what the communists are doing. You understand all this? They are saying, condition the mind. Because the brain mind is completely material. Therefore, it doesn't matter if I kill you, if I follow, it doesn't the least matter. If I put you in prison or if I put you in a hospital because you're against government. But if we go below that, look at it at a deeper level, then we have to ask the question, what is life? What is existence? If it is purely material, as the world is now accepting that, then we'll destroy the earth and ourselves, which we are doing. Do you realize 200,000 people are born every hour? So, see, that is our problem. We will not rationally, logically accept anything that's beyond the senses. Which is material. My house, my children, my work, you follow? And with that, I go on. And anybody that interferes with it, I push aside. You know what's happening in the world. My right. And your right. So is it possible in a dialogue of this kind, a discussion, a real investigation, not a conclusion, yours or mine, to find out if there is anything beyond matter? Because if we remain at the level of matter, I'm putting it quickly in, then we are going to destroy the earth and everything on it, not ourselves, which we are doing, because it's based on pleasure and fear. my property, my children, the school. You follow? The whole thing is that. So can we, in discussion, in observing ourselves, go to a deeper level, not as a fancy or an illusion or a hope, but actually discover for ourselves this intelligence which is supreme energy. And to come upon that, one has to have an extraordinary sense of discipline. You understand what I'm talking? No. What is discipline?
The word comes from learning.
Of course. But what is the meaning of that? The significance of that word. I know what it means. The Latin and so on. So it comes from the word to learn. Disciple. A disciple is one who learns from the master. The word discipline means to learn. Now, generally the word is used as conforming. Right? Subjugating. I subjugate myself and follow you. Because you are in authority, you are in power, you are in position, you know, I don't know. So I subjugate, I bend my head to you. Which means conformity, imitation, suppression, acceptance of authority, a system, and all that's involved in that word. And I'm not using that word in that sense at all. I mean, that sense has no validity in investigation. So I reject totally, not verbally, but actually, all the implications of that word which is generally accepted as a meaning: suppression, control, imitation, conformity. And therefore conflict. You understand? Please understand this. Conflict. When I accept you as my leader, I am conforming to you. Therefore, I am in conflict. Authority then becomes a dreadful thing. But I am using the word discipline in a totally different sense. Discipline means order. Like mathematical order. The highest form of mathematics is pure order. Right, sir? So can my life, daily living, be so totally orderly? Not conforming to a pattern, you follow? Blueprint, obeying what the church says, this or government, nothing. They are all disorderly. So to understand this order, there must be understanding of disorder. Otherwise there is no order. I won't go into all that because this takes too long. So I said, to come upon this energy which is pure intelligence, there must be this extraordinary order in our relationship, in our everyday, daily living relationship, man, woman, relationship. Otherwise, if there is disorder there, you have disorder all around you and in yourself. And it is this disorder creates authority. Are you following all this, or am I talking to a blank wall, to myself? So can you create such order in yourself? Which means a relationship. No conflict, not a breath of conflict in relationship. Whether you're married, not married, a girlfriend, boy, whatever it is. Can you? If your education here does not bring about this, you are just wasting your time. Because you've got to face this world, which is totally disorderly. They may talk about discipline, they may talk about order, they may talk about law, repairing some damages here, there, and so on. But it is all in the world of disorder. And you're going to face this. Whether you will be swallowed up in that disorder. You may go to Eton, Harrow, oh Lord, all the universities, unless you create in yourself this order, bring about this order, you will be swallowed up, destroyed. So, how is this to be done? How is it possible for a student who comes here, who is conditioned by his family, by the society he has lived in, by the tradition, by the culture, the religion, the boys with whom he plays or girl and so on. He comes here conditioned, shaped to live in disorder, asserting my right. I don't know if you're following all this. Are you? How is one to break down that conditioning? How to bring order out of that disorder is our responsibility, and yours too. You understand what I'm saying? Your disorder is creating authority. And when somebody says, please, go and wash, we say, you're authoritarian. You follow? Go to bed. All your reactions come out of this chaotic misunderstanding of what order is. And the world about you accepts disorder as the way of life. I met a lawyer in India, terribly clever. If I had any case, I would take him. Oh, he can wipe the floor of every. Highly educated, been to England or Europe and so on. As a lawyer, he's got extraordinary sense of order, extraordinary sense of insight. And he came to see me one day, and he'd grown a beard. And he hadn't eaten for a week. I said, what has happened? He said, I've taken a vow to my God, which is part of the tradition, Indian tradition, not to eat a fortnight so that my mind can be purified. And I'm going to a certain temple. And they have fast another 2 days. And he was off. You follow? The disorder. You understand what I'm talking about? The superstition on one side, and on the other side, extraordinary sense of what is legal order. And living in conflict, you follow? Unrelated. And that's the world. Go to church on Sunday, and the rest of the week you are a mischievous human being. I don't have to tell you all this.
Is there a certain particular cause of this disorder, or is it there? It is a tradition, so there is no...
How can there be order in tradition?
No, disorder. Is there a particular cause?
Cause?
Cause.
Origin
In this order. In this order.
What do you mean by cause?
Or it is there?
I don't understand quite what you're saying.
What's the origin of disorder?
Is order natural?
No. What is the cause of disorder?
God, what is the cause of disorder?
And
what is the reason of disorder?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes. Or is it that it's implanted? In other words, it's because the whole generation has been disorder. So
I see. What is the cause of disorder? Is it? Are we conditioned by it?
Yes.
Is it innate in us? Or we are born with total order?
Or disorder.
Huh?
Or total disorder.
Or total disorder. Yes. Is that what you're asking? Okay. Yes. What is the cause of this disorder? What do you think it is? Don't give superficial reasons. We can invent dozens of them. Which is the society in which we live, the whole structure and function of the modern world is producing such disorder, and we are conditioned by it. Our education is so specialized, so narrow, so limited. We don't take the whole of man, only part of man. Or we have ideas, concepts, ideals which have no validity at all because they are totally unrelated to our daily living. You follow? Or our disorder is because from childhood, as the psychologists would maintain, Freud's and all the rest of them, we are not, our parents destroy us. We are put on the wrong pot. You understand what I'm saying? And so on, so on, so on. Now, go beyond that. What is the cause of disorder? Look, Tunki, or anybody, you are in disorder, aren't you? Huh? No? Or you're also perfectly orderly, intelligent, supreme beings. I'm not being sarcastic, but just being funny. So you're in disorder. Why do you think you're in disorder? What makes you disorderly, confused?
We are carried away by our interpretations of what order is.
You're attracted, distracted. Go on, say, investigate it, go on. I'm asking you, why are you in, what's the cause of it? One of the factors, isn't it? My right. Right? One, I don't say that is the cause. When I say it's my right, I have to fulfill, I have to do this, I must do that. As opposed to him who says, my right. I must do this, I must fulfill, I must go that way. It's one of the causes, isn't it? Right. Other causes, you have certain concepts and another has another concept. You believe in God, he doesn't believe in God. You are a communist, another is a Maoist. The Maoist calls you a revisionist, and you call him you follow, and so on. The Christian, right? So ideas, prejudices, conclusions. When a man says it's my right and your right, which is what the world is saying, you understand? Everybody says it's my right, which is called democracy. I'm not against democracy, but you follow all this? So everybody is enclosing himself in his idea of what is right and wrong, in his idea of his fulfillment, his right, his mission, his pursuit of pleasure. You follow? His security, physical security. Which is so, physical security is necessary. So, are all these the causes of disorder?
Well, when you mention that word physical security, there are, as I see, there are more implications to that.
Of course, Tunke. Lots more. Look, we need physical security. Food, clothes and shelter. Right? I work for it. I labor for it. I belong to a union. I am a close body. You follow all this? TUC. You know what the trade union? Right. And I am concerned with my security, right? I am not concerned with the security of man. I don't know if there is a difference between the demand for my security and the demand for the security of man. The security of man includes me. But when I say my security, it does not include other men. I don't know if you...
So, yeah.
Tumki, do you realize what's happening in the world? Each group says, my right, my security. And in that group there are individuals, my security. And they're fighting each other. And none of them say, for God's sake, look at man as a whole, whether he lives in India, Moscow, or in some blasted, filthy town. So, is that the cause of disorder? My God, your God, I'm a Catholic, I belong to that guru, and my guru is better than your guru.
Isn't it the capacity to see through all this?
The capacity to see, listen carefully, Tunke, the capacity to see the whole and not merely the particular, the detail. When you see the whole, then the details, the particular, come in their right place. But when you emphasize the particular, the English, the Germans, you follow? Then you have hell let loose. So is that one of the major causes of this disorder in ourselves and disorder in the world. That is, me first and everybody else second. Me as identified as the Englishman, the Hindu, the communist, the Maoist, the American, the capitalist, and so on, so on, so on. Me. Identified with the TUC. You know what TUC is? Trade Union Congress. Trade Union Congress. Or me identified with Mao. It's still me. I wonder if you get all this. So, me is put together by thought. Right? So this is, unless you have gone into this very, very seriously, I just point it out, unless you have really spent your energy to look at all this, what I'm going to say might totally mislead you, though we have discussed a great deal about it. Thought is the origin of disorder. Because thought is the response of the past. As memory, experience, knowledge. And from that past we act. And therefore, the present, which is part of the past as we translate it, must produce disorder. When we are always functioning from the past as knowledge, It must create. As long as I say to myself, I'm a Hindu, which is the past, which is the tradition, which is my conditioning, and from there think, act, it must create disorder.
So religions are the result of such disorder.
¿Cómo?
Las religiones son el resultado de este desorden del pensamiento.
Sí, sí.
The thought we said was matter. And then the
No,
order-
not what I say.
I said we said.
Don't,
we said.
please,
But
no, wait, don't quote anybody. Find out for yourself. Sorry, go ahead.
just
I
Right.
said, sir, thought is matter.
and life is.
Life is not matter.
But the matter, life.
Life produces matter, not matter produces life.
So life produces thought.
Wait, no. Look, sir, what produces thought? What is thought? Look, just keep it very simple. I ask you, what's your name?
Okay, that's memory.
At this moment, I ask you, what's your name? What takes place? No, just follow it. I ask you a question. What's your name? What takes place? You hear the words, and your reply is instant, isn't it?
Yes.
My name is whatever it is.
Yes. Behind that, beneath that, there's that energy, isn't there?
But don't
Where does it get twisted?
don't bring in energy at the moment. Just look at it. I ask you a question, right? Words which I'm asking you a question in English, and you answer it. Because you understand English, you answer it in English. Because you understand it. There is no time interval between the question and the answer, is there?
There's no time interval between the question and
Because you answer it immediately.
well, I mean, there's a short time interval.
A split second. I ask you, what's the distance from here to London? Now wait, listen to it carefully. What takes place? I ask you, what's the distance from here to London? You say, I don't know. But I'm going to ask him. You ask him. And he tells you, and then you tell me. It's 65 miles, or 70, whatever it is. So there is a time interval, isn't there? Between my question and your answer. Time interval, isn't there? Now, what has taken place in that time interval? Go on, sir. It's so obvious. What has taken place?
You look in from your past learning to
You looked into your past memory, and you say, I don't know. I remember vaguely, but I'm not quite sure. Therefore, you asked him. He knows it and he tells you. And then you tell me. Right? So what has taken place? There has been, in that interval, between the question and the answer, in that interval, you looked into your memory. Memory didn't respond. Say it is so many. He didn't respond to the question. Therefore, you asked him. He told you, and then you tell me. Right?
Yes.
So, that is the process of thinking, isn't it? In that interval. Memory not responding. then asking, then communicate it to you, then you tell me. That's all the process of thinking, isn't it?
Yes.
Huh? That's all I'm saying. This is very simple. That's the process of thinking. Now, if I ask you something much more difficult, or you ask everybody, they say, no, I don't know. Right? You understand?
Yes.
Either it is in your memory, and the memory responds instantly, quickly, or takes little time. Or it asks a question of others, or looks into books, find an answer. All that takes time. During that time, you are thinking, watching, observing, where is it? You follow? Now, there is another thing, which is, I ask you a question about which you know nothing, which no book has published. Nobody can tell you. Then you say, I really don't know. Right? Now, from there you proceed to investigate. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
When you really say, I don't know what to do, then you are open to investigating what to do. Right? This actual mind, brain that says, I really don't know, I have no memory, no recollection, no remembrance, I can't find an answer in anything. Such a mind is beginning then to learn, to find out. You understand? Such a mind is not caught in the process of thinking. I won't go into all that, leave that. So, to come back. The origin, the deep nature of disorder and its function has its roots in the assertion of the me with all its significance, and its rights, which is the structure of thought. So one asks, is there action? Please, you won't understand all this very deeply, but just listen, you must at least hear some of it. Is there an action which is not the product of thought? Because thought is old, thought is not free, thought is merely the response of the past. So is there an action which is not ideational? You understand all this? Bien? Vous avez compris? Bien. Put that question to yourself sometimes. If you're serious, put it to yourself and see what you find out. You understand? I act according to a pattern which I have received or which I established myself, which has become a habit. And I act according to that. Or I act according to an idea which I have. Or I act according to a projected ideal which I think is right. These are the background of our activity. Pleasure, pain, fear, sorrow, and so on. All the background of all that. I'm asking you, is there an action which is not the outcome of all that? That means an action without any motive. And motive are identified with the me, my pleasure, my fears, my demands. So is there an action which is devoid, divorced, completely free from the past?
Do you mean that is it the same question to ask? Is there an action without a reason?
No. Oh yes, we'd like to put it that way, yes, if we understand each other. Reason as we know it, which is the capacity of thinking together, logically, you with your background, with your thoughts, with your, and I with mine, and logically come to a conclusion, which is logical, say, on that thought level. And therefore it's still the outcome of thought, past. Is there action which is not of the past? Because action from the past means conflict, right? A routine.
Well, who would recognize it?
I am not concerned who will recognize it. We'll come to that later. Am I related to you? You're my husband, wife, whatever it is. Am I related to you because I have memories of you? Right? My memories of the images I've built about you, and you have about me. So the image is the past. Of course, obviously. So our relationship is imaginary, which actually it is. And hence conflict. Right? Be logical. Then, is there a relationship in which there is no image? And therefore no conflict at all. And is that, can that be called love? Love has no motive. If it has, it's not love. If love is a remembrance of things past which are pleasurable, it's not love. Or fear, or jealousy, or all the rest of it. So is there an action which is not put together by thought? And that action is pure intelligence, you follow? And therefore pure energy. I won't go into all that. And one has to live this, not talk about it. Otherwise you become a beastly hypocrite. Is it enough this morning? What time is it? Come on. One past. No? Is that enough?